Hello, Miss Howie.
How you
Do
doing?
you want the truth or do you want the standard answer?
For how you're doing?
Yeah.
The truth, always.
All right. Unfortunately, my dad got admitted to the hospital yesterday, and
Oh no.
he was supposed to have a stent put in this morning, but they went in and they found out that he has two arteries blocked, so he has to do triple bypass tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry to hear that. That sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's been a crazy 2 days. My girlfriend just moved in, and then we're spent all day at the hospital. So it was a crazy day.
Oh man. I'm so sorry to hear that. I
Yeah.
hope things work out well. I hope
They
whatever y'all need or whatever happens happens. I do.
They
I really hope so.
they say 99% effective, so the odds are in our favor, but it's obviously just nerve wracking. So
Right. Alright, I'm so sorry about that. That sucks.
I appreciate that. But how you been? It's finally nice to talk to you.
Right. I've been good, just busy, playing shows and whatnot. It's been kind of a crazy ride, especially like 'cause I'm in the Houston area in Texas, and so the Houston rodeo is going on right now, cook off and rodeo season, so everything's all busy over here, you know.
Yeah. What exactly is a rodeo? Is that just like an outdoor festival, or what all goes on
Oh my
there?
gosh. Okay, so Houston rodeo is the largest rodeo in the world, so
Ooh,
it's like yeah, they have a huge lineup of artists that come and perform. The cook off happens, and the cook off's kind of a big deal too. It's like crazy, like tons of big artists. I'm actually going. Parker McCollum's opening up the rodeo on Tuesday, so I'm actually going to go watch. So I'm
nice.
really excited about that.
What
And
kind
then
of
obviously
food?
there's a real rodeo, obviously. But I meant like the music part of it, you get it.
First rodeo I went to, I got kicked out of.
Really? What'd you do?
It was during COVID, and they wanted you to wear your mask up, and so in South Carolina, the rules, it was kind of like Texas and Florida, where the rules weren't that strict.
Right.
Um, and so in our Coliseum, we also have hockey games there with minor league hockey team. And so I go to all the games. The hockey games, most people pretty much wore them. But it's a bunch of rednecks at the rodeo, and none of them were wearing the mask. Well, I go in between during the break, and I get a beer, and we're all walking around the Coliseum. Um, But yeah, so I go to the rodeo. Well, the attendant comes to me. He's like, "Put your mask over." I'm like, "Dude, I'm drinking a beer," and he's like, "You can put your mask over your nose." And I was like, bro, I was like, the cops don't even have the mask over their nose, and so the cops come up and they're like, "We need to put 843-296-9950." All right,
You just gave out someone's
and
number.
my mom just called me, so obviously it might be about my dad. I don't know if she just needs something minor, but Um, he's on his line. Yeah. So the cops were like, "Can you put your mask over?" I was like, "Bro," I was like, "I'm not putting my mask over my nose when
Just
you're
your
not doing
nose.
it." So they're like, "Well, we need to escort you out," and I was like, "Fine." I was like, so they escorted me out. I wasn't playing. I wasn't bowing down. So we weren't
No,
even around anybody. It was awful.
I would not. I wouldn't have either. So props to you. Because I mean, like, think how dumb that would look. You just kind of like a mask over your nose and you're just sipping.
You could only sip your beer when you're sitting down at your seat.
Which
So
to me personally makes no sense. Like, okay, so COVID doesn't spread when you're sitting down.
especially with all the stores closing down and they like closed all the entrances, and I'm like, don't we need more entrances to spread things out? But whatever, that's a whole nother thing. um
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I saw your new song is doing very well on Spotify. Crazy about her.
Yeah, thank you. It's been going really good. It's kind of cool because um, a lot of my songs have been kind of on the more in your face, kind of more rockin' vibes, and this is kind of more on like the country kind of dance vibes. You know what I mean?
I love it. I mean, which is why when you popped up my For You page that one day, I was like, holy crap, that girl can sing. I looked at it and I think Break My Own Heart or Never Go Home was one of those two, was the first two I listened to, and I love rock and roll music.
Oh,
um
thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously those songs are amazing, and I like that good like rock country vibe. To me, that's just what speaks to me. You have that one lyric in your song Van Halen on the radio. Do you actually like Van Halen, or is that just a
Yeah,
lyric?
we actually. Okay, I'm a Van Halen fan, but that's the thing is we actually wrote that song literally like 3 days after he had passed. So that was like to honor his memory and like that literally we were sitting there writing the song and he literally passed just 3 days ago and we're like, like, whatever, something on the radio, and we're like, it's got to be Van Halen. Like, you know what I mean? Plus, I mean, like, the idea behind that song Freedom is like all the little things that kind of make, growing up in America or living in America, like, those things that just make it, that feel that way, first time driving Daddy's old Ford, flying down an old dirt road, Van Halen on the radio. Like, that's just kind of, it goes hand in hand. So
It's funny you bring that up because obviously Wolfgang wrote that song "Distance" about Eddie. And have you heard that song yet?
I have, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So of course, with our dad, not doing so, my brother was listening to it on the way home. We were just talking about that before we got on the live.
Oh man.
But what's your favorite Van Halen song?
Oh, see, I'm gonna.
And are you a David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go Lee Roth just because, like, my dad's more like the classic rock thing. Okay, so like I grew up on the West Coast, so like that's kind of more. I mean, like I grew up on like all that stuff that so my mom was like country girl, my dad was like the classic rock guy. So like I grew up listening to Van Halen, Journey, AC/DC, like all that stuff, and so like that was like my ish. I was like listening to that all the time. And I was like real young, but then, my mom was more into like, Dolly Parton, Brooks and Dunn kind of thing. So I kind of got the best of both worlds. And that's kind of like what inspired like the whole country rock type thing, And it's funny because a lot of time like my band and I will go play festivals or whatever, or like, I'll even just me playing acoustic and always have to try and, not be too rock. So,
because I mean, you have to not be too rock. Are you just trying to like meet the mold or fit the mold?
In Texas, I have to try and not be so rock because, like, for example, we'll play dance hall gigs and, like we'll do like Eagles, Life in the Fast Lane,
Classic.
and we get down to that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's interesting to see. Like, we just played the kickoff party for the Houston Rodeo, and they had this huge group of like the official, Houston Rodeo dancers out there in the front. And I was like, watch this. So we started playing Life in the Fast Lane, and they were all like dancing to it. And I was like, see, the fact that they can get down to anything, like I love when dancers can just get down to anything. I love it.
Now, are you a Lizzie Hale fan?
See, I have a lot of friends that are into that type of music, and I've started getting into it. So I'm not like, oh, I'm a fan. Like, I've been a fan. It's kind of more just because my friends are into it. So I'm kind of like, I'm actually starting to like it now. You know what I mean?
Have you ever thought about learning how to scream, or do you want to try and fit more towards the side, or do you like kind of like
my friends just took me to a concert down in Houston, and it was like Escape the Fate and like Falling in Reverse and like Hollywood Undead. Yeah, it was hard, and I was like, I loved it. It was really fun. But my friends are like super into that. Like I have a group of friends that are in a rock band. Yeah. And so I go and I watch their stuff, and then they take me to all these shows, and then, they come and watch my stuff, and we go line dance or whatever, So it's kind of like best of both worlds. So I don't know if I would personally ever do that because that would totally jack my voice, but because I mean, you have to learn how to do it properly. And I feel like at the stage that I'm at in like my career, like I literally, if I told anybody, like my producer or whatever, like, hey, like I'm going to start screaming, they'd be like,
well, did you listen to Watch the World Burn, Falling in Reverse's new song?
Yeah, okay, yeah, because that's literally like, I was sitting there trying to like, okay, I'm going to freshen up on this so I don't get there and know nothing.
Yeah, it's like, and I love Falling in Reverse, but it's like, it's some rap, and then it's some acapella, and then it's just like this total just breakdown madness, which I love going to those shows. Have you ever been to a mosh pit or anything?
See, they were doing the whole like wall of death thing, and
no, screw it. No, that's awful.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna step out the way. I'm not trying to leave here with a concussion,
Oh no, it's so bad. My first show was A Day to Remember and Rise Against, which I would highly recommend seeing both those bands live. Rise Against, their singer, so good live. But they started doing a circle pit, and this is my first show. And this guy, like, they start throwing elbows and everything. So this dude, like, elbows me in the stomach. He did it, like, twice, and I had enough of it. So the third time he comes around, I literally just decked him. And I put him on the ground, and Patrick was like, my brother, he was like, dude, that's kind of mean. And I was like, dude, well, don't hit me. Like, I'm just trying to enjoy the concert.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I was kind of like on my toes because my friends were like, I had never been to anything like that level, you know what I mean? Where people are like, beating the crap out of each other, I'd never been to anything like that. Like, so I was thinking, all right, I'm on my toes here. If anybody even, we got shoved so many times though, just because we were kind of like, if the crowd started here, and the entrance was back here, we were kind of like, kind of towards the back. And so people were like like swimming through us, like to get to the front and stuff like that. And they even at one point, when Falling Reverse came up, like for their set, people started going so nuts. They ended up having to stop because some girl got trampled. And so they stopped for like 10, 15 minutes, and and she was all the way in the front. And so they had to literally get her all the way back here, just part the sea of people. It was like, everyone was kind of like, okay, we're over it now. I was like, guys, come on, don't be insensitive.
Yeah, they stopped the Day to Remember show and they had to bring in an ambulance and some guy got dumped on his head when he was crowd surfing. It is bananas at these shows.
Dude, yeah, people were like crowd surfing like crazy, and like they were just like, you can see them like on their Snapchat, like
It's so fun though.
I mean, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like honestly,
the only problem with it is as a chick though, and even sometimes as a guy, like they will grope you. So when you're like going up,
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I figured as much. I was like, you know, because I mean, I'm kind of always person that's like, I'll try something at least once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I was gonna do that, you know, and then I'd be afraid that like drop me off in the front. I'd be like, damn, I gotta get back to my friends.
But if you do, take your wallet and your phone and keys, take everything out your pockets and give it to your friends before you go up there, because people.
Oh yeah, they was like taking everything.
They will. So when did you start singing as a career?
When I was about 14, I was teaching myself to play guitar, and then I started playing like shows and stuff in my hometown.
Yeah.
And
this is in California or Texas?
In California. That's where I grew up. And so I would, you know, be competing and stuff like that and whatnot, just kind of singing at different places. Like, you know, they would have places where I could go and play shows and stuff like that. And then I started doing that, and then I started writing and releasing original music when I was about, I want to say 16, 17. Is
that how old you were when you put that Carrie Underwood cover on YouTube?
That's a long time ago. I was I think I when I recorded that, I think I was maybe 15.
What about the one that's on Spotify? Which one?
Yeah, same age.
It was Good Girl. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it was last name, and I was like, man, who let me record that at that age? I don't know, but it's there.
Yeah, I could tell you were a little younger in that one. It sounded great, but
definitely. Okay, well, I mean, and it's so funny because I always think like, man, I'm gonna take that down one day, and it's like so funny because people like actually listen to it. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I don't know. To me, just thinking, I'm like ultra critical of like everything that I put out on Spotify, and I'm like, the fact that who let me do that? I don't even know.
So is Carrie your favorite because she pulled you up on stage when you were a kid, or?
I mean, I'm a Carrie fan. I like a lot of her older stuff. I will say, like her Some Hearts album. That's still to this day my favorite album she's ever done. That was the tour when I was like 5. She pulled me up on stage, and like that. To this day, that album, like every single song on it is like super relative to life. Like I love every song on that album. Her newer stuff is definitely, in my opinion, leans more towards like the pop side of things, which is like not bad. Like I'm a fan of all kinds of music, obviously. Are
you gonna sell out and go pop one day, Payton?
Probably not. If anything, I'd probably go rock. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was saying. Like if I couldn't be country, I'd be rock.
Hardy's clearing the path for you.
That's what I'm saying. Like I dig that. Like the fact that he's like half country, half rock. Like even, you know, I think it would totally be killer. Like I was talking to my band, I was like, yo, we should do a cover of Sold Out. Like tell me that would be so sick. I'd have to learn how to scream properly.
Dude, you should. You would kill that. And like obviously I love A Day to Remember. Are you familiar with A Day to Remember?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jeremy McKinnon, their lead singer and screamers, who did Radio Song with Hardy.
Right.
Oh god, it's so good.
That's what like I was sitting there and I was listening to the album, and then he started like singing, and I was like, I recognize that voice. I was like, no way, this is crazy. I thought that was so sick. That was cool.
So you got this like confidence about you in all the videos I've seen, and this. How did this confidence come about?
Really, and it's funny because you say that, because I don't necessarily feel like I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know, whatever. I don't feel that way. I feel like to be just blatantly honest, I'm a very awkward person, like just in general. Like I'm a very like creative mind. I'm sure you probably get that, you know, doing what you do. Like you've got like more. I lean more towards the creative side of things. I'm not a very like mathematically structured person like a lot of, you know. Like you know, a lot of geniuses. Like that's not me at all. Like that's not me. but I think it's more of just embracing creativity and embracing like music. You know what I'm saying? Like I think growing up and at a young age, like starting music and teaching myself to play instruments, I was like, I never necessarily felt like I had like a voice, like a confidence, you know, in the voice that I had, just, you know, being who I was and saying what I felt. But like with music, you know, I mean, without being able to describe it any other way, when I would start singing or when I'd start playing music, like I was able to just say what I was thinking, or I was able, but people would actually stop and listen to what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I could do that, you know? So it just kind of felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And honestly, like even thinking of it now, like to this day, like since I've started, I can't imagine doing any other thing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing anything else. And I think that's like just kind of embracing the awkwardness, embracing the like at least I know I have a confidence in this. I may not be confident in, you know, A, B, C, whatever, all these other things. That there's tons of people that are great at other things and great at whatever it may be. But like I know at least this one thing, I know this is what I've got going and I can do this. So that's kind of what I'm feeling, you know?
Thanks for the gifts, guys.
Like,
Like, my girl mustache now.
there you
I
go.
was gonna ask you because, like, when I played sports growing up, and I heard in one of your interviews you played softball growing up. I want to touch on that, but do you feel like you're a different person when you're on stage and like get locked in the zone than you do walking out in normal life?
At times, I wouldn't necessarily say like a different person, but like it's a different feeling because, like I said, I'm a creative. I would genuinely say, honestly, I'm a, I'm an artist. I'm not naturally a performer. You know.
Really? Because you seem like a really good performer to me from what I've
No,
seen.
see, I feel like performing really takes a lot out of me just because like I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, I'm gonna spend hours like staring at myself in the mirror and like practicing all these moves. You know, like that's not me at all. Like I get up on stage and you have no idea how hard it's been since I was 14 to work through all these awkward things that I do on stage, and I still do. Like, but now it's kind of to the point where it's like, okay, if I do it and kind of make it look like I meant to do that, it's fine, you know. So,
Well,
but
the tough part is, and you know, you were doing it at such a young age, and everybody's doing it now with social media. We're putting ourselves out there in front of all these people, and
right,
it can be tough because when I was 21, I was wildly insecure. Or yeah, you just turned 21, right? Yeah. You're wildly insecure. It's normal. It's natural. But I didn't get comfortable with who I am until I was 27, 28. And I
right.
assume being on stage, playing in front of thousands of people all the time, it's got to be kind of nerve wracking because you don't quite know who you are. So that's why I didn't know if, hey, when you get up there, you have this like alternate persona that when you're on stage, you know, you're just kind of becoming a little bit of a different person.
In a way, I would say. I mean, and not like a completely different person. Like I'm not like Beyonce, where it's
Yeah.
like what I don't know. That's not me, but like I think that I try to um, kind of channel that more outgoing side of myself because there is there's the part of me that's like I'm just gonna go chill in my room for hours on end and just sit there with my guitar and just write stuff like
Yeah.
whatever. Like I could do that and I'm super content just chilling by myself a lot of the time. But at the same time, there's also a different part of me that's like, I love to go out and get rowdy, like whatever. Like I love to be more outgoing. I can try my best to be the life of the party, and that part of me is what I channel when I'm performing. Because like that is definitely part of who I am. You know, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm completely changed, but it definitely is like a switch in your brain that you have to turn on when you're doing a job because I'm not only am I, you know, performing and, you know, putting on a show for people, you know, people are there to be entertained, people are there to connect with you. Like we just had a release party here in Conroe, Texas, for my song Crazy About Her, and like the amount of people that came out literally just to support like the new song and like to support all that, it was like crazy to me to think like this many people came out that I didn't even know, like to connect or to hear the song or to
Yeah.
just like see a show and be entertained. And people were there just like having a good time, being happy for what we had going on there. And it was like it's cool to see that people just really desire like connection in that way. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Well, you seem to have a really good fan base. I mean, obviously you have 50,000 followers on
Oh,
here,
well, you're sweet.
but it's been interesting because, as you know, I've been talking to a lot of different artists, and you'll see these artists who have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but they don't have any more than 10,000 streams on their on on their platforms. Or you have artists like, I mean, obviously you're kind of in the middle there, but I have some artists I'm friends with, like I think you know Martin McDaniel.
I do. I think I know Cross Atlantic too. You had them on here, didn't you? Or they
Yeah,
changed their name, didn't they?
yeah, they changed the name to Carly and James. Yeah, they're super sweet. They're
I
so
love
awesome.
them. They're
Don't you
cool.
know Frank Ray too?
I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love Frank. He played at our bar here in Charleston, and I met him there. And super nice guy. I mean, he's a freaking member of the Grand Ole Opry. I shot him a message. It just started, where I was interviewing people, and I was like, "Hey,
Oh,
man," I was like,
cool.
"When you want to come on?" He was like, "Dude, I'd love to." Which there's also some other artists who don't have a name for themselves who act very stuck up and like they're too good for you, and I'm like, cool. Very interesting. I very much appreciate you coming on, by the way.
Oh, well,
Um,
thanks for having me. This is cool.
Absolutely, but I find it interesting where I just wonder what because obviously getting the your name out there on social media is good, but it doesn't always directly correlate to having a fan base and streams online. I just find it very interesting. So clearly, whatever you're doing when you're playing in front of people is connecting with them and making them want to support you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, when I mean, I've been lucky enough to know how to well, not know. I didn't know, and I don't think anybody just comes out the womb knowing how to promote your music. Like it's not that easy, but like I've been able to connect with people that have just been cool enough to take me under their wing and teach me things that I can use to promote myself or to promote my music or people that are like diehard listeners, and it's so super cool because I'll get people that shoot me messages on Instagram or whatever, or TikTok and stuff, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I've been listening to you since this," and I'm like, it's crazy to me to think sometimes I look back at old videos or I look back like you said, the old Carrie Underwood cover, and I'm like, man, the fact that you're still listening, like props to you because I would have given up on me a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's super cool, like that people are that diehard, not just because of they're like, oh, she's got a voice or oh, she whatever, like she sings the style of music I like. It's like as a person,
Yeah,
the fact that people support you as a person is really cool. And there's a lot more good and genuine people out there than I think a lot of people realize. And
I agree with that.
yeah, I mean, you get it too, being a content creator, and with all like the interaction that you get just on TikTok alone. Like I'm sure you get it. Like people, like their main desire is to connect with you as a person. Like people don't just follow you for dancing videos. They follow you because like they see you as as a person, with a story or even your love life. They love getting into that stuff too.
So glad you brought that up because I've told that to everybody, and it's a business. What you're doing, like you are not just performing. In which before I touch on that, I just want to say, I mean, I'm definitely gonna be a fan for life viewers. I think your music is
Hey, thank you.
incredible. You seem awesome because I'm just like anybody else. When you see somebody cool on the internet, you're like, is there what else can I find on this person? So I click on YouTube. I watched the interview you did. I think it was with Powell Brothers, and I was like, man, I like this chick
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thing. I was like, she's easy to talk to. Like she's charismatic. I was like, she's gonna be a superstar, in the future. Um, but yeah, no, you're exactly right. So what people have always been interested in my love life, and a lot of these dancers, I feel like they don't when they watch my videos, are like, well, why is he getting so many views? And it's like because you're connecting with an audience. They're not watching me for the dancing. Have fallen in love with my story and who I'm dating or these friendship that I have. I also didn't start taking ballroom until 6 months after my TikTok blew up. I gained like 200,000 followers. I blew up with this girl I was dancing with. I had no idea how to dance, Payton. Like it'd be like you
Not
just
do I.
sitting around strumming on the guitar one day and like not ever getting a lesson, and people like hundreds of thousands of people following you for it, and you being like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just learned like one little thing, and so it was very nerve wracking. So I wanted to learn how to dance, and I started posting that, and you're connecting with people, and you are telling that story, and it makes someone to follow. There's millions of great singers out there, right? And I always use Kiss as an example. Kiss doesn't write the best music. Their vocals aren't the best. But if you go to a Kiss show, it's an experience, and it's something
Oh
unlike
yeah.
you'll ever see. Um, so what do you do that you feel like you connect with fans? What trait is it
I
about
think
you?
I think that the main thing that I've tried to do, and I'm not being like, oh, like I've done this and it's worked for years. Like I'm not saying that, because honestly, like I'm there's so many people that have been doing this for much longer than I have, and there's
Yeah.
people that are far more successful than I am, obviously. But I'm saying in things that I've been learning or things that I've been trying to do. I think just like when it comes to connecting with people, and I'll be honest with you. So I like meeting people at shows is something that's like, I'll get people that come up to me at shows and they're like, oh my gosh, like whatever, like we used, like, signing stuff, or just talking, or just like, oh, I'm a musician too, or even stuff like that. Like, I think it's so important to like look into somebody's eyes and like what's your name? And I had
Yeah.
this experience. So okay, so I'm a Parker McCollum fan, right? I met Parker McCollum. I opened for his brother Tyler in Conroe,
I like
Texas.
how you mention this in every interview you do. I think I've
I
listened
do,
to
but like
three of your
it's
interviews.
so
You're like,
accurate though.
and then I saw people were giving you crap, and they're like, doesn't he have like engaged or something? Like, because you seem,
Yeah, I was like, hear me out though, hear me out. So I met him and I was so hyped. I was like, dude, I'm such a Parker fan. And I walked over and I shook his hand and he goes, what's your name? And I was like, to me as an artist to artist, like thinking like the fact, like he doesn't remember my name. He don't even know who the heck I am. But my point is like the fact that he cared enough to be like, what was your name? You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yep.
I've made a point of that. Every time I meet somebody at a show, every time I meet somebody like whatever on a music standpoint, being like, well, what was your name again? Like, because a lot of the time I'll get people that come up to me and they're just talking about my music or they're talking about whatever, and they don't mention their name, and I was like, but to me it's important. Even if I'm not going to remember it, I want you to feel like I genuinely care about this conversation, and I
Yep.
genuinely care about you and who I'm meeting. Like, I want to make you feel important when I shake your hand, or when, like, we're having a conversation. And that's like something that I got out of that. Like, I know he's not going to remember, but the fact that he cared enough to make me feel that he was going to in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
So and you're exactly right. You get it. Has anybody like mentored you, like, that kind of instilled any of this in you? Because you get it. Which is another reason why, like I said, like, you played softball, so I'm sure you're familiar with the term five tool player. Like, that's how I feel like you are as a musician. Like, you have the look, the persona, the business knowledge of it, of, like you said, connecting with people. So did you have a mentor that kind of instilled any of this in you?
I don't know if I would say necessarily like an individual mentor.
Yeah.
I would say I've been lucky enough to have people in my life, or people that I've come across, whether it's here in Texas or I'm out in Nashville or whatever, even on the West Coast. Like, there's so many people that have like been kind enough to pour into me as a person, as an artist, as a musician. Even like growing up, there was a group of older musicians that, like, they had been there, done that. They were more like into like the rock, the blues, whatever. And then I was like coming in there singing country music, and they're like, okay. And they've toured all across the States. They've been over to like the UK, and they've been doing this a long time. And they, come back to this little old town where I grew up, and they just be like, I was, whatever, 13, 14, just learning to play, and they're teaching me how to play all these songs, or like they let me sneak into the blues club and like teach me like little things here and there, like be patient with me, because I'm sitting there with like this little like rinky dink like guitar, and they're just like up there having like toured with like Dolly and Hank, and I'm like it's crazy to think like they would just take the time to teach me things. And like people like that, or my parents, they're super supportive and like always willing to help in whatever form or shape that they can, like because I know a lot of people sometimes they just get stuck doing this on their own, and so having the support of my family is really important. Just even some of my friends that I've met along the way, like I've being in Texas, I've gotten to meet like so many cool people through music, or just through like going out, and that's a really cool thing. And then obviously even on the Nashville side, like getting to meet like tons of songwriters, writers rounds, stuff like that. And I feel like wherever I go, I'm trying to take different things from certain people that I admire and implement them into my personality and my career.
That's smart. Never think that you know it all. There's always going to be
Definitely
some.
not, because I know for a fact I don't.
Yeah, and there's always something little that somebody's going to teach you that can make a show, or make a greeting between you and a fan, that could just add that little something, can make all the difference in the world.
Oh, totally. I totally agree with that. It's like I've learned so much from people, like even just playing around. Like there's sometimes where I'll just like, I remember I went and I played this old dive bar in the middle of like literally I couldn't even tell you where it was, middle of nowhere, Texas, and it was just like this jam night, and it was just all these dudes. Like it was the smokiest bar I'd ever been into in my entire life. And I got up there and I was just like jamming with all these random guys that I never even met. We were playing what was like Leonard Skinner or something like that. And then a couple years down the road, one of the guys that was there, like he actually like blew up and is like doing super well and like with his original music. And he's like, "Oh, you want to open for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And then I never even realized that I met him there like 3 or 4 years ago. And he's like, "Oh, you're that skinny white kid from California." And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." So it was just funny to think like how sometimes you'll cross paths with people, and you'll kind of pick up things from them, and then you'll kind of meet again in life. It's really cool.
Always be kind to people because, like you said, you never know where they're going to end up years down the road, or who they know, who, especially in your line of business, if they might know a promoter, like at any show, every person you meet knows somebody who could own a restaurant, a business, who might know a big artist that you could open for. That's why you always want to be kind.
Totally, I agree.
So are you going to make the move to Nashville soon? I know you go there sometimes, and you
I
record
had
there,
a
right?
place out there. I had a place out there. I was living there kind of part time. Literally, like I had a condo out there with a couple of my friends, and I mean, it was kind of like cool. But every time I'm in Nashville, I'm literally working like the entire time. Like I'm recording, writing, writers rounds, shows. Like I'm not ever just like, oh, hanging out in Nashville, like just spending the day vacationing. Like it's never like that. So I was, and I was like, paying a good like chunk of change like for this condo, and I was like, it doesn't really like make sense to do that because a lot of the time I'm playing shows. And not to mention a lot of the shows where it's like you're going and you're, ticket sales or you're growing your fan base. Like Nashville's, I love Nashville, but it's super, super saturated with people that are all doing the exact same thing as you. But it's like in places like Texas and the surrounding states, or even on the West Coast, I'm able to travel out there, whether it's just me acoustic or me going with my band or a duo or a trio, and like getting to be intimate and close with people that are like actually there to listen to the song versus like, oh, like let's go to Nashville and go on Broadway,
Yeah.
So I'm there part time because I'm literally there like once a month,
Yeah.
just working and whatnot, and all my stuff and my connections and stuff I record out there and everything. But it's like I wouldn't say, and I mean, even if you look at a lot of the red dirt Texas country artists that are breaking into the Nashville scene, like they don't live out there, or they don't have to, or they didn't like to start out. So,
I mean, I know Austin's good for live music too.
oh yeah, I mean,
I
there's
just
a music scene everywhere,
what is like what is the traditional way to make it big? Is it doing like what Frank Ray's doing, where he was traveling on his own and then gets on an Old Dominion tour and really grows? Because obviously we've seen some people here in the last 2 years post phase of them singing on TikTok,
right?
and next thing you know, they're you know huge stars. So what is the best way to go to the next level? I mean, obviously you've already made a name for yourself. You have what, millions of streams combined on all your songs. You have one song that's already reached millions of streams. So what do you have to do to reach the next level?
Well, honestly, I think it really depends on like the individual artist because I mean, if you look at, and especially like with TikTok, you see a lot of artists that blow up on TikTok, and it's like because they're literally like being intimate with the people that are viewing it, and they're writing songs that are super catchy and relatable, and whatever reason it is, like they're a TikTok type of artist. Or if you look at someone maybe like a Tyler Childers or whatever, that's like not about that, like that's way different. So it's kind of like it depends on the kind of artist that you are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, have
Like
you
some of these.
followed? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Oh no, I was just saying, like I think some of these artists like they don't mess with the whole TikTok side of things, and some of them are like literally that's where they gain their popularity is
Yeah.
TikTok. Like what I
Well,
mean?
and I feel bad for someone like almost like Bailey Zimmerman, where they blow up and then now he's never really performed live, and now all of a sudden, I mean, as you know how it is when you're performing 3-4 nights in a row, your voice can wear out. You need to learn how to protect your voice and all that. You need to learn how to perform. So yeah, you might be able to write good stuff and blow up on TikTok, but how do you, learn how to, it's a process. And now you've gained all these fans and now you're going through this process publicly and you're going to be putting all this time
It
and that's
is.
the time you're a child learning how to perform. And then one day you're going to be an overnight sensation.
Well, literally, like I got to see that firsthand. I opened up for Warren Ziders last summer. Okay, you know the Ride the Lightning guy.
Yeah. Say that one more time. Sorry, my brother had to say
You
something
know
to
the
me.
Ride the Lightning guy, Warren Ziders.
Oh, yes. I've heard of him.
Yeah.
I do not know music.
Right. Yeah. So he blew up on TikTok, and
Okay.
I got to open for him last summer. And so I've been playing shows since I was like 14, right? And so like by the time I opened for him, I probably played like 500, 600 acoustic shows in my lifetime, played with bands.
Yeah.
Like, and not like I'm like, oh, I'm so experienced. Cause like, dude, look at him. Literally he's like doing crazy things, and he's killing the game right now. He's totally killing it. But it's like at that point, like when I opened for him, it was his 5th show ever in his entire life. And I'm like mind blown because I'm over here like having played 500, 600 shows like in my entire lifetime. I was, 20 at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm opening for him. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, I get up there, I'm like, oh, big deal. And it's like, I mean, he's super talented, great voice, and I love his music too. He gets up there to do a sound check and he's like, I don't know. And I'm like that's crazy to me to think that like just simply his talent and his voice has gotten him to where he is versus some people that literally like back in the day when they didn't have like TikTok and social media and stuff like that, people had to do it simply by talent and hard work and like going out and busting it and playing shows. Now you can be super talented, have a really cool voice, and just blow up on social media, and now all of a sudden you're playing in front of hundreds of people. That's the show I played with him was absolutely sold out. People were going nuts for him. You know what I'm saying? And it's
But
like, imagine like that's only the 5th time you've ever done that. I'm like, that's mind blowing to me,
it's a crazy world, but you have to learn how to just take care of yourself and not burn out either and you're also like, I'm Bailey Zimmerman's the best thing just because they pop up on my For You page of people just like roasting this guy and like,
yeah.
I don't think it personally, but I'm like, okay, the guy's probably played, this is probably the fourth day in a row he's playing, so he doesn't know how to control his voice and, and protect it and everything. So the internet is a cruel place and you're going to learn how to handle that. And you may not have to have any of those growing pains because you had this process. So in the long run, you might end up being better off than someone like that who does happen to blow up just right off the bat.
Well, I know, and I've seen some videos because I had some friends that have like actually played with Bailey, and they were like defending him, like, dude, like his monitors weren't in, like, or like his monitors were out or whatever. And I'm like, okay, like I can see that, you know what I'm saying? And then I don't know if you saw it, but he addressed it with this video. And I was like, honestly, because at first I was like, whoa, there's no way he sounded like that. And I was like, okay, well, if he didn't have monitors, I can totally see how that'd be possible. Then I saw his video responding to it, and I was like, mad respect. Like I love the way he handled that.
But that's another piece of the puzzle is, maybe somebody forgot to do something or forgot to ask about some piece of equipment, or set something up properly. Like you said, like with Warren, it's his 5th show. He doesn't know what he's doing, and making sure all these people surrounding him know what they're doing and what preferences he likes. It's a whole process.
Oh yeah, it literally is, and it's like you only learn those things. And I've figured out, even just like at my young age, I've figured out that you only learn those things by like plowing through them head first. Like you can say, oh yeah, like this is how you do a sound check, or this is how you set up your acoustic, or this is whatever, like how you check your mic or whatever. And it's like you can say that, but until you're doing it and you know what it sounds like, and you're playing with a full band with like wedges in front of you, or like in your monitors, or taking care of your voice after singing 5-6 shows in a row and like being on vocal artists, like unless you do those things yourself, like just physically plow through it head first, like you're not going to really learn how to do it.
Absolutely. So do you have an album coming out anytime soon, or are you promoting that, or are you just putting out singles right now?
I'm doing singles right now. I'd like to do a full album, and I think what I might do is take some of the singles that I'm working on right now and possibly down the road release it as an album. But I think right now, especially with everything going with radio and stuff like that, like singles is kind of the way for me.
Do you have any of your songs on the radio in Texas?
Yeah, actually, I just hit number 49 on the Texas regional radio charts with Never Go Home. So, which I mean is crazy because that was my first release to radio, which I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go, just full send it.
So how do you, you just have to have a connection, and because like
you get a radio promoter basically. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You just get a radio promoter, and like there's tons of different radio promo people, like just in the States, but like Texas regional radio, which is Texas and the surrounding areas, and a couple random states here and there. You get like a promoter, and there's lots of promoters that are in Texas or like Austin, Dallas, whatever. You just kind of decide on who you think is the best fit, who has like a passion for what, like your music. You know, you kind of send them, hey, this is what I'm thinking of releasing to radio. They'd be like, yeah, like I'm passionate about this project, and they just kind of take it and run with it. And they already pretty much will have, you know, set up connections with relationships with, you know, the radio directors or the programmers, stuff like that. So
I was curious because, like, I don't know if you happen to see the song that I choreographed a line dance to, the Alabama by Martin McDaniel. A
yeah,
song
yeah,
that's already, yeah, it's already gotten, I think it's up to 220,000 streams now, strictly off of like TikTok. Like, it's a
that's really
great
good.
song, but he can't get it. Like, nobody will put it on a playlist. He keeps getting rejected on that. And then like I have another friend Becca, who's a singer, Becca Bowen, and I mean her song's been added. Her new release got added to some playlists on Spotify, and it's doing really good numbers in the first week. So I'm just like, how do you even get on these playlists? Like, who do you have to know to be put on these like big time playlists now? It's like, is this the best way to go about it, or is it trying to get on the radio? Like, I don't know. It's a crazy world for you guys.
The playlisting is really like, oh, it's hard because like I do all my own playlist pitching. I don't pay any promoters for anything
Mm-hmm.
for Spotify, whatever. I don't do any of that. Like I literally just like, you know, get my music from the studio, upload it, share it on social media, and pitch it to Spotify through like my own personal artist like account. Like I don't pay anybody to do anything. I literally just do it myself.
Yeah.
And um there is a tool in like, you know, as an artist for Spotify, you can literally log into, you know, your Spotify for artist account, like they have it, and you just go in there and you can click your newest release before it releases and you can pitch it to Spotify. And there's playlist curators that go on there and they look at all the new releases coming up, they look at your pitch, and I don't know if they have the ability to listen to the song. I'm assuming they do.
Mm-hmm.
But they based off your pitch, they'll, you know, decide to put it on a playlist or not. I've had I think the majority of my songs have been playlisted. I think I've only had 2 or 3 that haven't been. And I can genuinely say the 2 or 3 that I have had that have not been playlisted, honestly, I would say don't exactly line up with the majority of my brand. Like my slower, like more chill, laid back, more traditional sounding songs
So
have not been playlisted.
you mean like F-150?
Yeah, like yeah, genuinely saying like songs like that, or like Jail and Jesus, like that one didn't get playlisted at all. But songs like Never Go Home, Keep Her Breathing, Break My Own Heart, Crazy About Her, Break My Own Heart got on 5 editorial playlists, which is crazy because people just like dig that song. I'm like,
I listen to
but
that
it's
song at least every day, 5 times a day for like a month. Like,
yeah,
it's so good. So
that's
who
cool. I appreciate that.
anytime. And I appreciate you writing them. I'm in my car with the windows down, jamming out. Who do you write your songs with?
With it depends on the day. Like I mean, sometimes I write a lot of them just on my own. Like a lot of the songs that I've had, like I've just written them by myself. Some songs I've co-written, like my EP Youngblood. Those 5 songs I co-wrote with Eric Halbig and Michael Austin, and Joe Yeager out in Nashville. It's kind of my production team at the time when I was doing that. And each song is kind of like, and I mean, some people, like, I love to tell people this, especially people that don't write music, because they're like, no way. But when you're in a write, sometimes the split of the write can be, okay, there's 3 people. So we're all going to get, you know, a third share split of the song. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's like the 2 people that write it, and then the other third person just like made snacks. Like everyone plays a role in writing this song. And if that person wasn't there, it wouldn't have turned out the same. But, I write a lot of my stuff on my own. Sometimes I co-write, but I think I prefer to co-write just because, like you said, you don't know everything, and anytime you get stuck writing a song, having someone to bounce ideas off of is like
Yeah.
just what you need, you know?
Is there a writer that you have in mind that you would like to work with one day?
Not in particular, because like all the time, I just meet new people all the time that I write with, and sometimes I'll write with somebody, and it's literally them just saying like a sentence, and I'm like, yes, and I'll take it and run with it. You know what I mean? So
So you
sometimes
have
like,
you have big
go ahead.
confidence in yourself to write music?
No, not really. No, but I'm not saying like a
Really?
big confidence, but I'm saying like my creative wheels will just start spinning. Like someone will say something. Um, like I wrote a song. I had this guy that was telling me this story, and I mean he's also a musician, and we weren't necessarily even like writing a song. He just like was telling me the story of like something someone said to him, and he said this one liner. And I literally wrote that down. I was like, dude, I'm gonna make that a song, and I'm gonna give you credit on that because that was the best thing I've ever heard. So I wrote
What
the
song was
song, and
it?
I was like, huh?
Which song was it?
Oh, it's not out yet. That's why I wasn't saying it.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay.
But yeah,
I'm
so it's
excited.
sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. Like sometimes I'll have a song that I'm like in love with, but I'm literally missing like half of the second verse or half of the chorus. And I'll go to some of my other friends that sometimes they don't even sing country music. Sometimes they're like in a rock band, or sometimes they're like more indie, whatever. And I'll be like, I need something for this. Like I need help with this. Like help me with this. And they're just gonna give me the exact. They're gonna give me the exact thing that I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. So, you played sports growing up, right?
Yeah.
Softball the only one you played?
I played softball and I played volleyball in high school.
Ooh, okay.
Uh,
What position did you play in softball?
I was a catcher and a center fielder.
Oh, really? Okay. Got a good arm then?
Yeah, I guess so.
You watch baseball then?
I used to, but it's kind of like honestly, I'm kind of the person where, like, I mean, I'd prefer to just play rather than watch. I can watch, but I feel like watching on TV, I'm like, eh. But if I'm like, I could go to a game and watch.
But you don't really get a chance to go to many games a day. I guess you could go during the week.
Nah, I know. I mean, like, I wanted to go. I think we're gonna go to an Astros game, um, in July.
Nice. So, how do you? I mean, you're playing in LA and stuff some too. And I saw you play a couple of songs. I mean, how do you go about getting these gigs? Or do you book on your own, or do you have an agent?
No, I book on my own.
Nice. Wow. Okay. Good for you. Are you calling people out in LA?
Oh, well, I mean, no, I mean not necessarily like in LA, but
Yeah.
like there's people that I have connections with just from growing up out there or knowing people or other musicians that connect me or whatever. But
I
um,
assume you get some invites too.
yeah, sometimes I'll get people that'll hit me up. They'll see videos on social media or whatever, and they'll be like, "Hey, like come out for this event or we want to invite you out to this," and I'll be like, "Sounds fun, let's go."
What was the thing you did? You were singing on stage with the girls. It was in LA, I believe. It was the House of Blues or House of Rock. A couple
Yeah,
months ago.
yeah, House of Blues. They do a Christmas show, a California country Christmas show, and they invite out like the top artists, like top country artists out in California on the West Coast. And they do a Christmas show, and every year there's like a different theme. The first year I did it, I was 17, or I was like 17 or 18, and it was George Strait versus Garth Brooks, and so basically like all the artists got assigned a song and then they got to sing an original song. So I got to do an original song, and then I got to do I think they assigned me a Garth song, so I was like, all right, let's go.
Because
And then
you sang with Presley, and who else were you singing with?
yeah, so this year I did it. Oh, this last year in December I just did it. And they did it was through the decades, and I got to do like 5 different songs, and it was Presley Tennant. And it was super cool. We got to do Girl Crush. We did Honey County's Girl Crush. It was super
Ooh, okay.
cool.
Yeah, I saw
And
Presley.
Morgan, yeah,
Yeah,
Morgan Lee. It was me, Morgan Lee, and Presley Tennant.
gotcha. Yeah, because I saw Presley through that, and so I got her booked to come on here in a few. I think at the end of
Oh,
March.
she's so cool.
Yeah,
Presley's my girl.
she's super sweet. Yeah, she's really talented too. Um, trying to think what else I got for you. I think that's it. I think I
Heck
burnt it.
yeah.
So it's about coming up on our hour, anyways.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for having me. This is super cool. I
Absolutely.
appreciate
Absolutely. Very good to talk to you. I'm glad we finally were able to do this.
it.
I knew
Right?
I knew February was the month.
Yeah, I know. Like last time I was like, man, I don't even know. Like I don't know what was going on.
Dude, it was so rough for some reason. So what happened? Because I believe because this happened 3 times. I don't know if it's people were just randomly reporting me or if it's the TikTok algorithm. But I just was sitting there with Emily and I made a joke, and next thing you know, they're like, "Oh, you can't go on live for a week." And then like the next week it happened again, and I just was like, I've never had this happen to me, and it really was frustrating because I have these things with these artists on Mondays. I interview them, and I'm just like, I'm having to call you guys and be like, hey, by the way, I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. I just made a joke.
Somebody has it out for you.
Clearly. But I very much appreciate you coming on. It's very nice to talk to you. If there's anything I can do for you, please just let me know.
Will do. Thank you so much, and likewise, I appreciate you having me on here, and thank you for your
Absolutely.
support. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I love all your music, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Heck yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Bye, Peyton.
Bye.